Hello everyone, welcome back. In this episode here of Bitcoin Trade, I'm gonna go over some news, and I think this is gonna help all you people who trade in Bitcoin. And after that, I'll go over a chart analysis. So this is CoinDesk, which I just find CoinDesk to be a good source of Bitcoin news, like relevant Bitcoin news, other than opinions and just stuff that well just doesn't make any sense for me to read, other than it's interesting to read. But I get a lot of my relevant news here from CoinDesk. They seem to be on top of everything, and so let's go over some of this stuff. Let me see here. This is new banking task force to study digital currency. um, I guess there's more hearings or more investigations or studies they're gonna do, which is good. And I have an idea why you know the the banking regulators um, are interested in studying digital currencies. And this is just speaking from my experience, but um, why would a bank allow an investor to a Bitcoin investor, a mining investor, why would a banks allow a mining investor of Bitcoins to bank with them? I mean, because before my experience was that they would just close your account, but now it's kind of interesting, with uh, some of my experience that's happened here, and and I have an idea why a bank wouldn't mind, at all. Um, their banks have to have a certain reserve of hard currency somehow, some way, okay? And and you have a right to it. You have credit to those, to the legal tender. Um, so what the banks don't want to do is they don't want to lose their license because they can't. And but at the same time, they have to keep enough liquidity to actually operate. So my experience with Bitcoin and banking is that this is a great opportunity for banks to you know um, be uh, to receive enough cash reserve, like hardcore cash, like like printed money kind of cash, to receive cash reserves for free, without having to pay any interest on that cash reserve. And in some ways, I think it's stabilizing, or allowing the banks to shore up their balance sheets, so to speak. And so this is kind of interesting because I think, from my experience on working with the banks is, I may, yes, I I you know use a lot of money, but at the same time, um, because of how I mind as an investor, the way I get my bitcoins and everything, um, you know, I basically uh, literally buy and sell all the time. And the idea is that I buy low and sell high, and I'm making a gain, either a gain in U.S. dollars or a gain in Bitcoin. I'm really after the Bitcoin, but at some point you've got to convert your Bitcoins to uh, uh, a legal tender, okay? U.S. dollars. At some point, um, you just have to go back and forth into Bitcoin and fiat currencies, or else it wouldn't be a trade. There would be no trading. So, I have a feeling they're probably gonna get together. They're gonna talk about it. They're gonna talk about mainly money laundering, because that's the only way they can Well, they could probably be fined quite a bit of money, and on top of that, they could possibly lose their license. So that's kind of the reason, probably why they're getting together. But I think they're seeing a benefit, ironically. Um, I know a lot of people talk about Bitcoin a way to work outside the banking system, which is true. But there's also a lot of other financial instruments that also work outside the banking system. And you probably don't know much about them because they're considered the shadow banking system, and it's basically financial instruments, payment instruments being sold to people who are unbanked. In other words, they don't have a bank account, and there's a reason why they don't have a bank account. But there's financial industries, money service businesses, all right, money transmitters out there who facilitate in that um, shadow banking system. And so, for whatever reason, but when you think about it, what would it be used for than other to hide the source of um, where money came from? So I think I briefly talked about the shadow banking system in my episode. And if you don't think it's real, you think this is all made up, I'm pretty sure it's real. All right, it's been real since a very long time. So everything that you see being exposed through Bitcoin is basically everything you see being exposed in the current banking system. All right, and so I just want to briefly talk about that. It's a great article. I think it's gonna. I think every state is gonna come up with their own rules and their own way, like Florida, Washington. Um, so I, I just have to. Here's what I have to say to it. Okay, when you close an economy, when you close an exchange, when you close exports, imports, when you close uh, uh, a payment system, this is what happens to that country or to that business. Let me show you a bigger picture. That's what. Okay, that's what happens. This is Mount Gox. Oh, sorry. It's not here. Anyways, there we go. Okay, this is Mount Gox, and this is what happens when you isolate your state, your country, your business from Bitcoin. It's cannibalism, self-mutual annihilation, zero sum, net zero sum or zero sum game, where you're just cannibalizing each other, and there's no real winner. You're just literally just trying to survive. So, um, be careful in your policy, because this is what you can do to your state if there's some adverse effects on making policies that you never intended to really happen that way. So if you want to know what's going to happen if you're into isolationism, this is what happens: self mutual annihilation, and there's no winner. There's just only survivors. So just want to bring that up. And okay. Oh, sorry. Another thing I want to talk about was this, and excuse me. All right. Looks like somebody else at the office building was kind of tired of the protest. Not in particular Mt. Gox, but obviously Mt. Gox wasn't too happy about the protest either. And in Japan, you need a license for everything. You need a license to wipe your ass, take a shit, um, drive a car, drive a boat. I mean, according to this, they said they need a demonstration license. And yeah, in Japan, you need a license for everything. Everything's so licensed there. I mean, it's ridiculous from what I've been told. Okay, I've never gone to Japan and tried to get any kind of license, but apparently, They were told they need a demonstration license, and now they need to go. And so, anyways, they have a right to, in my opinion, to express their feelings about things. But apparently, in this country, you need to get a license to demonstrate. So, so that's just a quick article on that. So, just trying to keep up on that. And then this is not directly related, but somewhat related. And here you go. Ukraine crisis. Opposition takes control of presidential compound as blah 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 flees Kiev. Now, this is kind of interesting. Kiev, Ukraine, has kind of been a Cold War, somewhat Cold War, but a very hot battle of for territory, and there's a reason why. But let's see how it relates to Bitcoin. Okay. Now, remember this. This is BitLegal. Remember I told you how you're gonna start seeing sides. Well, Ukraine. What? Let me see. Where's Ukraine? There's Ukraine right there. Ukraine. Last time I checked, this was kind of blank. Now look at this. Ukraine has fallen to Bitcoin. I don't know what to say. I don't want to bring up some old memories, but I would say Ukraine has fallen to the Allies. But but this is not about that, right? This is about Bitcoin. So Ukraine has fallen to Bitcoin. Now, what that does is, if you I don't know the exact details what's going on with Ukraine, but they're going through a transition, a political transition, and obviously it's, from the way it looks, it's breaking away from Russia in some sense, and so it's moving into Europe. So why is that important? Because once there's a wall here, all these other countries will fall into Bitcoin, right? And I mean, you're seeing a lot of these. Before, a lot of these were not anything. And they all gave their warning, their guidance about the risk. So you got Turkey, you got Greece, obviously, Ukraine, Belarus, what is that? Latvia, Latvia, or something like that. Well, now you got these countries that has fallen to Bitcoin, except for what's that little bit? That's part of Russia. That's that little piece of red. That little piece of red thing is Russia. So you got all these countries falling to Bitcoin, which is going to allow all these other countries, except for these guys. These guys are like the worst ever. They're always neutral, which means they're just going to try to make money on both sides. So these guys are the worst. I don't know how they can say they're neutral and still, facilitate both sides there. But you're going to see all the rest of these countries fall to Bitcoin, and see Turkey is already falling to Bitcoin. So you're going to start seeing maybe, what's that? Georgia. Georgia has always been a hot contested territory. Georgia may fall with Bitcoin because as soon as Turkey did, Georgia will. And then what else? Azerbaijan. I don't know about Azerbaijan, but the way I'm looking at this map, I mean, if Georgia is going to fall to Bitcoin, maybe Azerbaijan. I don't know about Iran. These countries are, all these stands, the stand countries, Afghanistan, and they're still, they're going through political turmoil within their own country. They're still developing as a nation, and I don't think they have the infrastructure yet to take on Bitcoin. But it doesn't take much to take on Bitcoin, but they still need their infrastructure to be rebuilt. Of course, there's Iraq, and let me see, this is Iran. Okay, so there's Iraq. They're still open. Maybe the richer nations, depends what they want to do. I know they're already, cash rich, so they may come later in the game to support Bitcoin later on. But see, you're starting to see some. And so what do you got? What are you starting to see is a this used to be the Iron Curtain. Um, Now people are going to probably refer this to as uh, the Great Wall of Fire, right? It's basically a firewall now, and so it's going to be called the Great Wall of Fire because China is involved in this as well. So it's a Great Wall of China, So or it would be called the Great Wall of Fire Curtain or something. We can combine the two concepts together or something like that. So you're starting to see a map form, and I would look at this map and pay attention to it because how this map starts to develop is going to affect your Bitcoin trades, and you know it is what it is. And so how does Bitcoin relate to this? How does Bitcoin relate to this? Well, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, uh, I know there's a lot of things going on in Ukraine, but you tell me. Look at this headline, all right? And look at the map now. Ukraine has fallen to Bitcoin. So that's going to leave all these other bloc nations here that were, that they were up for grabs, but they're going to fall because they'll be safe to. I would I would hope they would fall into Bitcoin because I think it would after these nations here have blocked off Russia. Um, it's going to be safe for them to fall into Bitcoin. For these guys are going to stay neutral and play both sides. You know, I think that's the worst. A person, if you don't pick a side, you're the worst of the worst. You're the scum. You know. Um, so you're starting to see a lot of things going on. I don't know what's going on in Africa. Oh, look at that. South Africa. Okay, so South Africa has fallen to Bitcoin. And I think once you see South Africa, you're going to start seeing things around these countries start because it affects the neighboring countries. You know, if one country decides to take Bitcoin, the neighboring countries will have to consider taking Bitcoin if they want to do any trades because you can do physical real world trades with Bitcoin. All right. There's a little blue spot. What is that? Oh, there's a country within South Africa. Interesting. So you're starting to see a lot of things, and I mean here's a map of America here and North America, and so Greenland, um, Greenland is well positioned and well poised. A lot of people thought Greenland was like the worst place to be. Now they're sitting on all these resources here, and so is Canada. So, trading Bitcoin in Greenland and Canada, I know Canada's kind of come down a little hard on regulating, but I think they should ease up a little and understand what Bitcoin is going to do for them. It's going to allow more, uh, in my opinion, more business, import, export, whatever. Canada's got to be really foolish if they're going to try to kill Bitcoin. But look at this area. It's all resource intensive, all up for grabs, um, and all available to trade or invest into. All right. So Mexico will probably Mexico's in doing some Bitcoin trading. I mean, you can't. You're right next to America, and there's got to be some trading going on. And so you got Brazil. So all these other nations, hopefully, will eventually. Of course, you got Venezuela, Colombia, and Ecuador. I think there may be. Well, give it some time. But Brazil, Argentina are permissive in Bitcoin. You're gonna see Mexico. It's got to be. Mexico is doing some kind of Bitcoin trading. They just haven't announced anything because, well, for whatever reason. So they're so close to America. Anybody who does Bitcoin, their neighboring countries will probably eventually do that as well. So so let's go on to the other side here. And well, there you go, Australia, and then all these other countries were gonna accept Bitcoin or allow Bitcoin in Japan, South Korea. So there you go. So how does this headline relate to Bitcoin? Well, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Um, and that's how powerful Bitcoin is. I mean, you, I don't know how else to do it. Do I need to draw a picture? And then look, Bitcoin, new banking task force to study digital. If Bitcoin was nothing and it's just a video game, why all the attention? Bitcoin is very, very powerful. So anyway, let's go into a quick chart analysis here. And yeah, Mt. Gox is on a slow death here, but if you look at these, I mean, look at the price. Man, you just and you see these large. Here, let me move my mouse over. You're seeing these large spikes here. These are market buy orders. So what you may see in this chart is, I know there's a lot of things going on that people are selling their accounts or selling Bitcoin, Mt. Gox Bitcoin to other Mt. Gox users. So what you're probably seeing is people who have cash buying up the Bitcoin. They have to make a market order because they need to buy it instantly. And then they're buying Bitcoins to sell to another Mt. Gox user, like literally sell to cashing out through that way. So that's probably why you're seeing these weird spikes in here like that. People are buying, and then the person receiving, they may do a couple things. They may hold on to the Bitcoins, but the way the price action is moving is telling me they're what could be happening is they're buying into the Bitcoin to basically make a transfer from one Mt. Gox account user to another, and then when the overall price drop is probably the other counterparty selling off the Bitcoins because they probably bought it half price or whatever, so they're selling it off, converting it to a US currency or some fiat currency, a number, just in the claim that if if they have to, they can make a claim for a certain amount of legal tender fiat currency. The other option is, the other thing you can do is also, as soon as the receiving counterparty, as soon as you receive the Bitcoins, I mean, you're just literally cashing out again and just waiting to see what happens to the price action because you just got a 50% discount on money and Bitcoins, if you want to look at it that way. And you're seeing how things react. So once they allow withdrawals, I mean, all you're gonna do is just take the gain portion, the 50% or whatever gain portion of money, dump it right into Bitcoin and watch it just skyrocket right up. You may just dump all your principal and everything else and just watch it skyrocket. I mean, once they allow withdrawals, people are just gonna literally take and cash out and realize the money. They may not realize the gain, but you can realize the money and then reinvest back into another asset or whatever else you need to do. So there's that chart analysis for that. And this is this is a 15-minute here, and I'll just back up to a little 4-hour, and we'll see what's going on. So it's still downtrending. If you look, it still has not broken out of this hard line. It's had some good support areas, so they need to, we'll just see what happens. That's all I can say. It has to break this line to get out of this downtrend, but once it does, you're probably back up into an uptrend again. And then Bitstamp has been the most stable. But if you look at the pattern, pretty much the same. It really has to break out of this downtrending line. It has to break through it. So we'll see what happens. All right. Well, thanks for watching. If can comment, like, dislike, or even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.